If someone handed you $10 million today, could you retire forever? Take a second with that question. Not what you should do, what you actually believe in your gut. Right now, most people answer yes immediately. 10 million feels infinite. It feels like the number where the game is over, where you've won, where nothing can touch you. And for a few months after it arrives, it feels exactly like that. Let's sit in that feeling for a minute before we complicate it, because $10 million deserves to be felt before it's analyzed. If you spent $1,000 every single day from the moment you received $10 million, it would take 27 years to spend it all. 27 years of spending $1,000 a day. Think about what $1,000 a day actually looks like. A first-class flight every 3 days, a Michelin-star dinner every night, a new luxury watch every week. $1,000 a day is not modest, and you have 27 years of it before the number reaches zero. That statistic alone should change how you read what comes next. At 4% annual withdrawal, $10 million generates $400,000 a year, $33,000 a month, before tax. In Manhattan, that funds a $10,000 a month apartment, business class flights whenever you want them, dinner at the best restaurants in the city several times a week, a car that would have felt obscene to you 2 years ago, and still leaves money. In most of the world, it funds a life that is not just comfortable, but genuinely extraordinary. The dream survives the math at this number. That is the thing that separates 10 million from 1 million. At 1 million, the math is a partial buzzkill. At 10 million, the math confirms everything the daydream promised. So, if the math works, what's the problem? The problem is not the money. The problem is what the money removes. When you never have to work again, the structure that organized your life disappears overnight. The alarm clock, the commute, the problem to solve, the reason to get up before 9 on a Tuesday, the thing that gave your week a shape. For the first few months, this feels like pure liberation. Sleep until whenever. Go wherever. Do nothing and feel no guilt about it. This is what you earned. This is what you waited for. And then somewhere around month 3 or month 6, something unexpected happens. Tuesday at 10 in the morning starts to feel strange. Not bad, just strange. Untethered. Like a word you've said so many times it stops making sense. You have everything, and something feels missing that you can't quite name. The research on extreme sudden wealth is consistent on this point, and almost nobody talks about it. Elevated rates of anxiety, relationship strain, a quiet restlessness that doesn't respond to spending more or doing less. Not because the money is wrong, because the human brain was built for striving, and you just removed the natural striving from your life without replacing it with anything. This is the trap that nobody warns $10 million recipients about. Not the lifestyle inflation, not the bad investments, the removal of stakes. Your brain needs stakes to feel alive. For most of your life, money provided the stakes. Will there be enough? Can I afford this? What happens if this doesn't work? $10 million removes all of those questions permanently, and the brain, deprived of its natural stakes, goes looking for artificial ones. Some people find purpose. They build something. They fund something. They solve a problem that money alone can't solve. The research shows these people tend to keep the money and report higher well-being than they had before it arrived. Other people find gambling, extreme investments, increasingly reckless decisions that make no financial sense but produce the feeling of stakes their brain is desperately missing. Not because they're reckless people, because they removed the natural stakes from their life without understanding what those stakes were actually doing for them. The most important question at $10 million is not where to invest. It's what you're going to do on Tuesday at 10 in the morning. The people who answer that question before the money arrives, keep it. The people who figure it out afterward spend it trying to feel something. Now, let's talk about the specific traps at this scale. Because they're different in kind, not just degree from the $1 million traps. The first trap is the wealth manager who charges 1% of assets under management. 1% sounds like nothing against $10 million. It is $100,000 a year in fees before you've earned a single dollar of return. Over 20 years, that is $2 million in fees before compounding losses. The fee-only fiduciary who charges a flat annual fee is not just a preference at this scale. It is the difference between keeping the money and slowly transferring it to someone who manages it. The second trap is the family dynamic that $10 million creates that $1 million never did. At $1 million, the requests are manageable. At $10 million, the expectations calcify into something different. People stop asking and start assuming. Relationships begin to reorganize themselves around the wealth in ways that are almost invisible until they're not. The giving structure you build before the requests scale up is not just financial protection. It is relationship protection. A donor-advised fund with a predetermined annual giving ceiling is not generosity withheld. It is the mechanism that lets you stay generous without the money consuming every relationship you have. The third trap is the one that catches the most people at this level and the one that is hardest to see coming. You make a $10 million decision from a $10 million identity. You make a bad investment not because you're uninformed, but because the scale of the money makes the scale of the risk feel abstract. $500,000 into a friend's startup is 5% of net worth. It feels manageable. It feels like exactly the kind of thing someone with $10 million does. When it goes to zero, and most startups go to zero, it is not the money that hurts. It is the realization that the $10 million identity made a decision that the real math could not support. And that identity will make that decision again unless you build a system that prevents it. The system is the same three-bucket structure from the $1 million episode, expanded. The foundation bucket generates the $400,000 a year. Index funds, untouched, permanent. This is the engine. The opportunity bucket is a separate allocation, 10 to 15% of the total. For higher risk investments, you can afford to lose completely without touching the foundation. This is where the startup goes. This is where the interesting bet lives. This is the bucket that exists. So the foundation never gets asked to take a risk it wasn't built for. The life design bucket is the question of Tuesday at 10 in the morning. Before you make a single investment decision, answer this question in writing. What are you building with your time? Not your money. Your time. The people who thrive at this level of wealth are almost universally people who found an answer to that question that wasn't relaxing. Relaxing is a vacation. It is not a life. The giving structure has a ceiling set before the first request arrives. A donor-advised fund funded annually from the foundation's returns. Generous, bounded, relationship-preserving. $10 million is not the end of the game. It is the moment the game changes completely. The old game was about accumulation. Get more, earn more, grow the number. That game has rules your brain already knows. It has stakes built in. It has a scoreboard. The new game is about preservation and design. Keep what you have. Build a life worth funding. Understand the psychology of the person holding the money well enough to protect them from themselves. That game has different rules, and almost nobody teaches them. You just received $10 million. The math confirms the dream. The freedom is real. The life is fundable. The traps are real too. And now you know where they are. The only variable that determines what happens next is which version of you gets to make the first decision. The one who understood the game before the money arrived, or the one who learned it after. Now you